I'm joined now by NBC News senior politics reporter and Maine resident, Alex Seitz-Wald. And also with me is NBC News legal analyst and former U.S. Attorney Carol Lamb. Well, Alex, as your backdrop would indicate, you are indeed in Maine. So tell us what exactly is going to happen there next.
Well, things should move pretty quickly here in Maine with this case. Trump's campaign has said he will appeal Secretary of State Shannon Bellow's decision. That will go to the Maine Superior Court, which has to rule quickly. January 17th is the deadline for that. That decision could then be appealed. But ultimately, everybody here and nationally agrees that this is headed to the U.S. Supreme Court. Only they can provide the national guidance on this really unprecedented constitutional question. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a patchwork. You mentioned California. Other states have already ruled that Trump can't be on the ballot. Colorado, Maine, now two states that have said he can't. So really, everyone is waiting for the Supreme Court to weigh in and set the standard on this nationally.
All right, so Carol, weigh in from a legal perspective. What happens from that arena?
Yeah, legally, you've got this case in Colorado, which has actually made it all the way up to the Colorado Supreme Court, and they ruled against Donald Trump being placed on the ballot, and that is being appealed to the U.S. Supreme Court. It is in their discretion whether or not they want to review the case, but all the expectation is that they will. And then the Maine case is following in its footsteps, as Alex said, and it will go up as well. But, you know, the issues, that's really the key. What issues, if any, will the Supreme Court decide to review? Because there's a big deference that's paid, especially by the conservative justices, a big deference that's paid to states and to states' ability to run, to set their own procedures and to carry out their duties as a state in protecting the integrity of their elections. And so that is traditionally and constitutionally a state obligation. So what is the issue or issues that the Supreme Court, U.S. Supreme Court, will decide to take up? Probably they will take up the issue of whether the constitutional ban against insurrection by a candidate would apply to the presidential candidate, because the 14th Amendment is not clear about that. They call out members of Congress and they call out electors, but they don't actually say the president is an officer to which the ban would apply. But that is most likely an issue that they will have to decide. Beyond that, it's anyone's guess whether they will simply say, hey, the state ran the process that it put in place and they did it with due process and we're not going to interfere with that, or whether they will choose to second guess the insurrection decisions that were made by the Maine Secretary of State and the Colorado Supreme Court.
That's an important point, right, Carol? Because obviously there's so much focus on whether or not the Supreme Court would actually make a ruling as it relates to Donald Trump's culpability for January 6th. But that's a separate issue about the independent ability for these states to run their own elections, right? Because the Supreme Court could theoretically take these cases and actually say nothing about January 6th and just leave it to whether or not the states have this authority on their own. Could they not?
That's very much a possibility, and it's now been widely reported, a case that Justice Gorsuch decided when he was a federal appellate judge, not on the Supreme Court yet, but a case from 2012 where he said the integrity of state elections is very much a state function. And as long as they carry it out with due process and in accordance with the Constitution and the Constitution's protections with respect to due process, that is a state function. This is just such an unusual situation we find ourselves in where the stakes are so very high. It is rather unprecedented.
All right. So, Alex, let's get back to the situation in Maine. What was the Secretary of State's rationale for having Trump removed from the primary ballot?
Yeah, her rationale was very similar to that of the Colorado Supreme Court. They looked at Section 3 of the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, which was written after the Civil War to prevent unrepentant Confederate officers from rejoining the reunited states. And they concluded that Trump engaged in an insurrection after he took an oath to office and therefore is disqualified from the presidency and disqualified from the ballot. But it was clear, I spoke with Shannon Bellow, the Secretary of State, last night, and it was clear that she did not want to have to make this decision, and she doesn't I think, really feel like she should be the one making this decision. Maine law required her to respond in a short period of time to complaints that were brought about this. So she says it kind of forced her hand, but she was very clear in saying that ultimately this is going to be up to the U.S. Supreme Court, and she will follow their guidance. So even though she thinks that Donald Trump does not belong on the ballot here, she would follow the Supreme Court if they overturned her decision.
I mean, it is interesting, right, because she is a Democrat. She's run for office as a Democrat in the past. Of course, there's already been pictures of her and President Biden that have been posted all over social media by Trump supporters. I mean, how much, Alex, is the partisan nature of this becoming an issue? And we know that's something the Trump campaign has already hammered.
Yeah, absolutely. She was a former Democratic state senator, the former executive director of the ACLU, not a partisan organization, but certainly an ideological one. And the Trump campaign very much pointing to that, saying she's too partisan. She never should have been put in this position. They also pointed to statements that she made previously calling January 6th an insurrection. So they say she was prejudiced on the legal question of whether that was indeed an insurrection. But, there have been other Democratic secretaries of states who have looked at the same set of issues with the different state laws. California, you mentioned just today, Rhode Island, only a couple states south of us, very progressive state, Democratic Secretary of State concluded that Trump can stay on the ballot. So, partisanship is certainly a big factor here. And that's what one person that I spoke to called it a political Rorschach test.
Yeah.
You can read this decision and conclude that she did absolutely the right thing if you're on the left side of the aisle, or you can conclude that it's a undemocratic, small d disenfranchisement, trying to steal an election if you're on the conservative side of the aisle. And just another sign of how partisan and how fractured this country is.
And Carol, of course, this comes against the backdrop that Donald Trump is under indictment for much of the same things that he's being accused of that led to him being pulled off the ballot in these states. How does his criminal trial impact these particular proceedings? Are they two completely different things? Is it something the Supreme Court would take into account and allow the legal process to play out? Are these two things intertwined at all?
Well, in terms of the substance of what is being decided, they are very similar, of course. It's to decide whether Donald Trump played a role, and if so, how much of a role in the events of January 6th. But the important thing to keep in mind is that although there were evidentiary hearings held in both Colorado and before the Secretary of State in Maine, that is to say, it was actually an adversarial proceeding that took place. There were lawyers for Donald Trump who got to cross-examine witnesses and put on evidence of their own, as well as the same for the state. The burden of proof is very different between a criminal case and these adversarial hearings before the Secretary of State or the courts. So it's a much lighter burden of proof, preponderance of the evidence, more likely than not, before the Secretary of State and the Colorado court, but beyond a reasonable doubt, the highest standard possible in the criminal cases. So very different standards, and they will be applied appropriately in both venues.
And as you said before, Carol, a unique situation all around. Alex Seitz-Wald, Carol Lamb, thank you both for being here. We appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.